I almost feel quite justified in going through this article, because this is only what we have been saying since, well, Starmer took office. And I've said before, part of the person responsible for this very cautious Starmer pattern has been his leader of comms, Deborah Morgan. And we've talked about her before. She was one of the many, many people who wrote one of the many books about the Red Wall in the wake of the 2019 general election. And we've talked about criticisms of her book, the stuff and sort of what she said, and the fact that since she took over, she has been focusing on this very, very cautious path. Very cautious. And here's the thing. The people who defend Starmer will say, well, yes, this path has been very cautious because he's had to be cautious. And in respects, some of it has paid out. But you have to be brave at many, many points. Ed Miliband has said this. We're about to hear from Alistair Campbell as well, and other people who are in Labour's 1997 victory have come out and said, you are being far too cautious. You need to start laying out, this is what Labour is going to do, because by this point in 1996, when we were going into that election, Blair was already out there saying, this is what Labour is going to do. This is our policy. This is our vision. This is why you should vote Labour. Now, that is getting there. But the problem is Starmer is being far too cautious about it. He's doing this very, very safely approach, entrusted very much so by Deborah Morgan. Like I say, she's the director of his communications. It is her strategy that is doing this. And I think that cautiousness at this point now is coming to the end of the road. It's coming to the end of the road. You cannot be cautious anymore. You've really got to be bold, and you've got to start being radical. Because if you don't, yeah, you might win a victory, but it's not as big a victory as you could have been if you'd been more brave about it. So we're going to go over this article again. I think it's well worth going over. But as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Like I say, there is the Patreon page, there's the Pony Club as well down below, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course there's the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. So as always, thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel in that way, and of course, even if you do, just click the like or share button. Like I say, thank you very much. It all helps very much. So on with today's story. So this comes from The Guardian with the title of Labour Figures from the 1997 Victory Warn Starmer Against Cautious Approach. So Keir Starmer's caution risks damaging his chance of winning the next election, according to the key figures from Tony Blair's 1997 campaign, who warn that the Labour leader is in danger of learning the wrong lessons from his predecessor's victory. Some of those who were core to Blair's election win have told The Guardian they believe that Labour was not yet ready for government and needed to set out a much clearer policy platform to win voters' trust. What we've been saying, you need to have your policies out there. And there is policy out there, but they're not talking about them enough because they're being too cautious. Because as always, the comment comes, oh, but the Conservatives might steal it. Really? You think this Conservative Party is going to steal Labour promises, Labour policy ideas? Not in a month of Sundays. Not in the way that they are at the moment. So these comments come as Starmer prepares to head to Liverpool for what is likely to be the last party conference before an election and the most important of Starmer's political career. Many in the party hope that he will use his speech on Tuesday to define himself more clearly in voters' minds and set out the dividing lines with the Conservatives on a range of issues, such as completing HS2 and eliminating the two-child benefit cap. Alistair Campbell, Blair's former director of communications, said, "You want policy, and you want your policies to be known about, and you want to be able to defend them and argue them." And he is exactly right on that. He is 100% exactly right on that. I know a lot of people really do not like Alistair Campbell, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to comms and sort of arguing and advocating your position, especially in the realm of politics, he's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and proven he can talk the talk as well as walk the walk. So he continues. He said, "Sometimes I worry that the Labour Party today doesn't, and I don't often get the sense that the sort of restlessness and restless obsession of attention to detail, focusing on everything that you need to focus on. In 96 and 97, we were not happy if we were not making the news and we weren't making the weather, and which we weren't actually being attacked, because sometimes being attacked is the only way that you can get out there and make your case." He's very right in that. And like I say, 96, they had their policies out there, they were putting it out there. And yet, if they were being attacked, then guess what? This is your opportunity to go, well, actually, we're being attacked. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to defend our policy and show the public this is why our policy is a good one. So other senior Blairites, including Claire Falconer, David Miliband, have urged the Labour leader not to shy away from promising bold economic policies in particular. And again, David Miliband, the other Miliband brother, like I say, both of them, certainly I think more Ed than David. Certainly Ed proved to be certainly a lot more better frontman than David Miliband proved. Like I say, that's why he won really over his brother. But both have said it in the past. Both Ed and David Miliband have both said to Starmer, you need to be bolder, you need to be braver about it. Even Ed Miliband admits when he was running, he wished he'd been more bolder about his policy on this. Peter Mandelson, Labour's campaign director for the 1997 election and a close confidant of Starmer, said that he thought Labour needed to do more policy work before it was ready for government. He said, "I do think the Labour Party under Keir Starmer is ready for government." Well, actually, I don't. But when the election isn't going to take place tomorrow or the day after, they have another year. Mandelson said, "I implore people in Labour to realise not just that they shouldn't be complacent, but about how much detailed and hard slog work is involved in preparing a programme for government. Not just a vision, but a real programme of government policies that flow from it, and that you have to have in place if you're going to hit the ground running on day one after that election." And this is what we've said before, from day one. And Starmer's even said this himself. So I hope we do see this. I really hope we do see this. He has to deliver the 3Ds. Deliver, deliver, deliver. He's got to from day one. And that's why we saw that cabinet reshuffle of putting people in who have had government experience. Yes, they were from, the Blairite government. It upset a lot of people. But if you want a government that is going to deliver from day one, you can't have people in a cabinet position that need 6 to maybe 12 months to learn how this all works. They've got to go in from day one and start delivering. He cannot afford to muck about, as we say up north. These comments were made as part of a two-part podcast from The Guardian's Today in Focus, which examines what Labour did in the year before it took power in 1997, and whether the current Labour Party is set to replicate that success. Is due to broadcast on Monday and Tuesday next week. Again, will be very interesting to go and listen to that, but we'll see what happens. But this is something I've been saying for the longest time on this channel. You need to have your policies out there. You need to get the people knowing. You need to put it out there. And guess what? If you get attacked, that's great. That's an excellent opportunity, because you can come out and go, yes, that is our policy. But my Conservative friend is completely, talking, talking absolute codswallop. Because in reality, if you had this policy, this would be the pros. This is what it would do. This is how it would be good for the UK. That is what you need to do. You need to start that attack. And I would hope that after this conference, that they go into full campaign mode. I really do. I hope they campaign like they know there's going to be a general election next year. We all know. If not, it will be early 2025. And I don't even think Rishi Sunak wants to wait that long. There needs to be, I think, after this Labour conference, a complete sea change where it is, this is our policy. This is what we want to do. This is why it's good. Here's the detail of it. And just go, this is our policy. This is why it's good. This is why it's good for the UK. This is why a Labour government is going to be good for the UK. That's what I want to see. That's what I've been talking about for the longest time. And I even said back in the day, Labour should launch their manifesto. Now, if they did that and say, this is our pre-election manifesto, the next, the big one's coming, we're saving that. But here's our pre-election manifesto with some of the stuff we want to do. Here's the detail. If they did that at this conference, I would be quite happy. I would be quite happy indeed if they did that. But it would really help them define that area. This is where they sit. And as Alistair Campbell said, look, they'd be making the news. They'd be being attacked. And of course, well, if you're attacked, BBC is going to have someone from Labour come on, defend that position, defend that policy. So if it's in transport, if it's in health, if it's in that, then your shadow secretary goes up to bats and just hits it out in the park. That's what we need to be focusing on. That's the direction they should be going in. I really hope they do realize that, and I do hope that they do listen from that, because even when you've got Blairites in the party going, you need to be more bold. You need to start going on the offensive here. You can't be cautious anymore. You've got to go for it. I do hope we see that change, something I've been talking about for a long time as well. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at the conference, and we will watch with interest to see what happens in the coming weeks, in the coming days of the Labour conference. But yes, I think a lot to look forward to in this conference. We'll see what gets announced. We'll see what happens. But of course, until then, we'll be covering that as well. So obviously, stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And of course, do remember to click the like and share button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.